Breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alerts.
Who would have thought just one short year ago that ground zero for the globalist deep state and the DC swamp was the FBI? It's now being reported that our own FBI used the bought and paid for by the Democrat Party and the crooked Hillary Clinton campaign fake Russian dossier on then-candidate Donald Trump to justify the wiretapping of Trump Tower. President Trump tweeted back in March of 2017 that he believed the Obama administration and their operatives ordered the wiretapping of Trump Tower during the heated 2016 presidential election. The FBI replied by taunting him to provide proof which might have come this week. During FBI Director Christopher Wray's testimony this past Thursday before the House Judiciary Committee, he had a very interesting back-and-forth with Florida Republican Representative Ron DeSantis that may have contained a major revelation as to the validity of President Trump's claim. DeSantis asked Wray if the discredited Trump-Russia dossier was actually used as the basis for obtaining a wiretap warrant under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act to spy on Trump, members of this campaign and family. Wray refused to answer the question as to not perjure himself. Guess who says the FBI used the fake Trump dossier to justify opening the Russia investigation? Let's make sure we're caught up here. We know that in 2016, the FBI launched an investigation into whether the Trump campaign was in cahoots with the Russian government to influence the election. And we know that as part of this investigation, the FBI convinced the FISA court to wiretap Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort. Remember when Trump said Obama had Trump Tower wiretapped, and everyone said Trump was making it up? Manafort lives in Trump Tower. Trump was telling the truth. But the more important question is whether the FBI used bogus information to persuade the FISA court to approve the wiretap. We've been speculating here for some time that the now infamous Trump dossier prepared by former British spy Christopher Steele, which has been widely discredited, was a part of the FBI's case for the wiretap of another Trump advisor, Carter Page, possibly a significant part. Is that true? Last night we told you the Hillary campaign helped pay for the creation of the dossier. Now we have a named source saying on the record that the FBI did indeed connect the dossier to the larger Russian investigation, and that source is Hillary Clinton. Quoting from her awful book What Happened, You Lost. In the summer of 2016, according to the Huffington Post, the FBI convinced a special foreign intelligence surveillance court that there was probably cause to believe that Trump advisor Carter Page was acting as a Russian agent, and they received a warrant to monitor his communications. The FBI also began investigating a dossier prepared by a well-respected British spy that contained explosive and salacious allegations about compromising information the Russians had on Trump. Note how Hillary makes reference to all this as if she had nothing to do with it. Classic. When she wrote the book, she obviously didn't know it would later become public knowledge that her campaign helped pay for the dossier, so she probably figured she could pretend to be disinterested third party simply making reference to something in the news. Lucky for her, not many people will read her vomit-inducing book. Unlucky for her, you now know this part isn't there. You think the Democrats are still happy they insisted on starting this Russia investigation? So did the FBI uses the dossier to justify the FISA request? If it was part of what they were investigating, why wouldn't they? If they took it as seriously as Hillary claims, it would make no sense to withhold it when you're trying to make the case you've got reasonable cause to wiretap a target. Better question, at what point did the FBI realize the dossier was crap? Or did they know all along? Because if they used the fake dossier to justify the wiretaps of Page and Manafort, that means the Democrat administration was wiretapping top officials of a Republican presidential campaign on false pretenses. That's worse than Watergate, because you're not only bugging your opponent, you're also corrupting law enforcement to help you get away with it. And if that's what happens, it's not only Hillary who's complicit. It's Obama too. His presidency is over, thank God, but he could still be held criminally accountable for this if it's shown he knew about it or, worse yet, directed it on Hillary's behalf. You think the Democrats are still happy they insisted on starting this Russia investigation? As we can now see, the FBI is corrupt to the core. And paid with our own tax dollars. The whole institution needs to be investigated, and some people need to go to prison over this. Then we have to take a long hard look at the option that maybe the whole thing needs to be disbanded and replaced with an organization which will work within the law. Seems like the FBI, for years now, has been more concerned about the rights of foreign nationals than those of American citizens who pay their salaries. Please share if you agree the FBI needs to be investigated and disbanded. Follow us on Facebook at Freedom Daily.